Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick Man United video. I'm going to talk about why Donny van der Beek is still being ignored at Manchester United. It's quite an interesting one because I previously did a video on how sort of Gunnar solskjaer was wasting van der Beek, and I did actually kind of point the finger at Solskjaer in that video. Obviously Solskjaer has since been sacked, so that's something that I think a lot of people thought was going to lead to Donny van der Beek getting more game time. But it's not worked out that way. It's not worked out that way. So what we have now is we have a new manager who is implementing his own philosophy, but Donny van der Beek's still not a part of it. And this is the thing: we as United fans all thought that when we got a better coach, Donny van der Beek would be a part of the setup. And Ralf Rangnick is a very sophisticated football manager. Now look, I'm not going to lie, obviously we haven't had a lot of clubs, they get that sort of new manager bounce, right? You saw it with Man United with Gunnar solskjaer. You saw it with Arsenal with Mikel Arteta a couple of years ago. They got a sort of new manager bounce when he joined. Spurs with Conte this year, they kind of got a bit of a new bounce when he joined. We haven't had that with Ralf Rangnick. We have not had that, but I think certain people are letting that trick them into thinking that he's not a good manager. When the reality is, a lot of the signs, don't get me wrong, the stats are not showing what I'm seeing and what other people are seeing. But the performances are better than the results in some respects. Obviously, last night against Brentford wasn't very good. You know, despite the fact that we won 3-1, we played some excellent attacking football, I thought, but, our defence looked shite. I'm going off point anyway, but Ralf Rangnick, so he has basically implemented this 4-3-3 formation, which I have thought we should play for the longest time. I've been thinking that we should play that for a long time. But the weirdest thing about this is that that's a formation that suits Donny van der Beek down to the ground. Because he's a hybrid player. He's not sort of a number 8 or a number 10. He's kind of somewhere in between that, who can play both roles. So the double pivot has never been the best place for Donny van der Beek. The number 10 is a good place, but potentially not the best place. However, this formation that Rangnick is playing, that's actually a very good position for van der Beek in one of those number 8 roles in front of the number 6. So this makes it quite confusing as to why Donny van der Beek is still not being recognised as the player that he is. And he's not being recognised as a £35 million signing. So that's something which is quite confusing. It's quite confusing. I mean, you can only sort of speculate as to the reasons, and I'm not saying this to dig out Ralf Rangnick. I actually think that some of the things that we've been doing, like the football that we've been playing, the structure, there's a lot more of an idea now. You can see that there's much more of an idea, and you're not sort of seeing this sideways passing anymore. There's an idea of as to how we're progressing the ball forward. You've got Bruno, Fernandes. The players know where they're meant to be moving. When Ronaldo moves out to the right, Fernandes moves up into the centre. Elanga sometimes switches spots with Ronaldo. Greenwood and Ronaldo sort of switching places and not just crowding down the left side like Martial and Rashford did under Solskjaer. Actual, real movement. Like proper, well-coached movement. That's what I'm seeing at the moment. It just needs a bit of familiarisation. That's all. But Donny van der Beek would make this team so much better. He's got a very high football IQ, and he's someone that he would improve a team like this under a manager like this. We're looking for a more team-based approach, rather than having all these mavericks that just do their own thing. That's what Ralf Rangnick looks like he's trying to install. However, there's players like Van der Beek, and you could even argue Anthony Martial, and, even Jadon Sancho, even though he's off form, Jadon Sancho, certain players that are team players, but are not getting a look in here. And you have to wonder why that is. And is it something to do with their attitude on the training pitch? Is there someone behind the scenes that does not like these players or doesn't like these type of players? I don't know. I think with Donny, it's very hard to sort of foresee that it's his attitude, because that's not what managers have said. Maybe he really isn't adapting to English football very well. I'm not sure, but from when I've seen him play, I don't quite understand why. I don't understand why he can't get a game, because I'm looking at him and he's not getting much game time, but I still think there's enough there to see that he brings something to the table that we don't actually have. That's what I believe anyway. So I'm not sure what we're doing with this sort of Van der Beek nonsense. I rate Ralf Rangnick, but I do actually think that the way he's trying to play would be better if Van der Beek's involved. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Fred has more mobility, and I think that might be why Rangnick is preferring him in a box-to-box role at the moment, because Fernandes is never going to get dropped in this formation, I don't think. He's always going to be there. So then you've got sort of one other role as a number 8 that can be taken up. And at the moment, Fred seems to be the preferred player. Scott McTominay has obviously been on very, very good form. We can't deny that. I have spoken out against Scott McTominay multiple times on this channel, but I can't even disagree with how well he's been playing. So I'm not saying it's easy for Donny to get in the side at the moment. I actually think that Fred and McTominay are in really good form, ironically. I've been calling for both of them to be dropped for the longest time, but now they're both in quite good form and they're doing quite well under the new manager. So it might be that he's never managed in the Premiership before. That's what we've got to remember. He's never managed in the Premier League before, and it might be that he's trying to get sort of the physicality right. So he's trying to play players that are sort of used to the physicality and players that have that sort of bite and that energy. Not that Van der Beek doesn't have that, but I think Fred and McTominay, having had more Premier League experience, they've kind of proven that a little bit more. So I don't know if that's what Rangnick is seeing. We don't know what he's seeing in training every day. My understanding is he doesn't want to let Van der Beek go. I saw that in an article a couple of months ago. He's categorically said that he wants Van der Beek to stay at the club. And I do think that if Solskjaer had still been the manager, it's possible Van der Beek could be leaving this month. I think that's very, very possible. But Rangnick has said that he wants him to stay. He's categorically said he wants him to stay. So I can't think that he would want to do the same thing that Solskjaer did. Because the substitutions that Solskjaer was making, like leaving it until sort of 70th, 80th minute to make substitutions, that's something that's not very beneficial to a player who's always on the bench, because you need that playing time. So I can't see that Rangnick's going to continue doing things the same way that Solskjaer did. Even though it might seem that way in certain elements at the moment, I do think he's gradually changing things. I think it's just a slow burn. So he started off with the formation and the attitude of the players and the pressing, and those are the three things that he's trying to ingrain at the moment. And I think once the players have sort of understood Rangnick's system, I think that's when we're going to see the personnel he actually prefers. Because you can't forget, there's a lot of players that are unfit at the moment. Pogba's not fit, Rashford is sort of just coming back, Maguire's just coming back. Not that, again, I've slagged all of those people off on multiple occasions, so I'm not saying that I think they should be in the team. No. But I think he doesn't know what his best 11 is yet, and I think we've got to give him a little bit of time. So I reckon by the end of February, we'll start seeing whether or not Ralf Rangnick actually rates Donny van der Beek and all the other players. We'll be able to see whether or not he rates, we'll be able to see who he rates, who he wants in that starting 11, and who he sees as sort of a key part of the squad moving forward. And with him taking on a consultancy role, I do think that it's quite a good thing in the way that the way he sees things now is going to shape Man United for the next few years, regardless of whether or not he becomes the permanent manager. Because I don't think we're going to get a manager that's super disagreeable with Rangnick's ideals. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I think what we'll see is by the end of February, if Van der Beek has been given a bit of a chance before that, and Rangnick likes him and he's one of Rangnick's preferred 11, I think we're going to know that before the end of February. If Van der Beek is not in that team before the end of February, I think he leaves this summer. That's what I believe. Because Rangnick, in that case, is just keeping him as a squad player. He's just keeping him as a squad player. So guys, I'm going to wrap that up there. I've just talked a little bit about sort of Ralf Rangnick and Donny van de Beek there, and a few of the things that might be at play. Let me know what your opinion is on this situation. You know, why isn't Rangnick playing van de Beek? Do you agree with what I've said about the fact that maybe he's sort of waiting until the formation is a little bit more ingrained in the players? Do you agree with that, or do you think there's some other reason? Do you think he just doesn't like Donny? Do you think Donny's not adapting very well? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. As always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and the link to my Patreon will be in the description as well. Thank you very much guys, have a lovely day. Bye bye.